So President Trump has had a pretty rough 2-week stretch. How is it possible that the left is blowing it, like completely blowing it? We will explain in 4 simple steps how the left is destroying itself. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Okay, so many a thing to discuss, but the truth is that the left is really destroying its own capacity to stop President Trump. You know, they've been whining and bitching about President Trump consistently ever since his election and far before, and now they finally have a 2-week period where Trump is just a gaffe machine. He's just going out and saying silly thing after silly thing, and the left can't stop themselves. They can't stop themselves because their end game here, their entire end game is to castigate all of their political opponents as Nazis and Trump sycophants, and in their pursuit of this end game, they've forgotten that they don't actually need to do that in order to win. So we're going to discuss how in 4 simple steps they are alienating the American people, how it is that they are taking a president who has right now a 34% popularity rating and possibly boosting him to re-election victory, and how it's very possible they may not even win back the House. We'll talk about all of that. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsors over at ProFlowers. So last time I was away on travel, I decided that it would be a good idea to send my wife flowers. I do this a lot when I'm away on travel, but the only company that I trust to do this is ProFlowers.com. Right now, you get 20% off of any of their unique summer rose bouquets or any other bouquet of $29 or more. Their colorful rainbow rose is always a hit. If you don't know what to send, I sent them, I think, a couple of weeks ago to my wife. The ProFlowers bouquets are guaranteed to stay fresh for at least 7 days or your money back, and you control the delivery date. If something breaks, they'll correct it right away. We actually had a vase break, and they immediately sent a replacement. ProFlowers gives you more bloom for your buck, big, beautiful flowers with more stems for your money. Right now, if you want to get 20% off summer roses or any other bouquet of $29 or more, go to proflowers.com. Use my code BENSHOW at checkout. Go to ProFlowers and BenShow at checkout. You get any bouquet of $29 or more, you get a 20% discount on. They are beautiful, and they really do last. I mean, it's much better than store-bought. That's proflowers.com, and use that code BENSHOW. It'll definitely make your spouse's or your girlfriend's day. Make sure that you do that. Mom's day. Anybody, it's good for all relatives who enjoy flowers. Proflowers.com, and use that promo code BENSHOW to get 20% off. Also, that lets them know that we sent you. Okay, so the Democrats are coming off a 2-week period where the President of the United States pretended he didn't know what the alt-right was, and then said that there were very fine people at a torchlight rally with white supremacists, and they're somehow losing. Somehow they're losing. See, this is the amazing thing. You look at the polling data right now. What the polling data shows is in North Carolina, for example, a poll yesterday, Trump would still beat Hillary Clinton 43-39. And this was the case all throughout the election cycle. And there's been a lot of talk for the last 2 years about how the elections, the polls, they're all a referendum on Trump. The world revolves around Trump. Trump is our sun, and we all revolve around him in planetary orbit. The reality is that the last election cycle was not about Trump. The last election cycle was about Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump just showed how unpopular Hillary Clinton is. That's all that election cycle was. It wasn't about Trump being some genius god king. It wasn't about 40 chests upside down underwater, hungry, hungry hippos, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. It wasn't about any of that stuff. It was about Hillary Clinton is the least appealing human being ever to walk the planet. Hillary Clinton makes the White Walkers on Game of Thrones look as though they are attractive date prospects. Okay, Hillary Clinton was a garbage candidate. She was such a bad candidate that this is real statistic, okay? Donald Trump won fewer votes in Wisconsin than Mitt Romney did in 2012, and he won the state. Hillary Clinton, no one likes her. Okay, so what that means, and you looked at the polls all during the election cycle, and what you saw was Trump was very consistent, always between 40 and 43%. The entire election until he got to 46 right at the end. Hillary Clinton was bouncing around between 50 and 39. 50 and 39. It's a really broad range. That's a really broad range. So what Democrats seem to neglect in all of their hatred of Trump is that they have to not suck. And they are failing at this very simple task of not sucking. And there are 4 ways that they are failing at this very simple task. So the first thing they do is they pick unpopular issues. So recall all the way back to last week when President Trump gave his ridiculous press conference after he had already given a press conference where he made a very good statement about why he doesn't like the KKK and neo-Nazis. Right? This is a 1-foot putt. Okay, this has happened. The next day he comes out and he says, well, what I said yesterday? No. And so he does that for no reason. And all his advisors are saying, dude, what? Like John Kelly is looking around and saying to himself, I can't believe this is my life now. Right? Everyone is wondering what he's doing. So the Democrats have a great talking point. They have a great talking point. I can cut the Democrat ad for them. Okay, the Democratic ad is Donald Trump saying, okay, it's a clip from the Charlottesville rally, the Friday night Charlottesville rally with all of the white supremacists and Richard Spencer and people chanting, Jews will not replace us. And then a clip of Donald Trump saying, very fine people were at that. and then a clip of Donald Trump with ex-congressional candidate shaking his hand. That's the ad, right? The ad writes itself. It's the easiest thing in the world. So what do the Democrats do? They do the thing that they are the best at. They are unbelievably stupid. They decide that what is deeply important is to talk about Confederate statues, right? This is what they're going to talk about, Confederate statues. So they move from an issue where 95% of the population agrees, neo-Nazis, bad, and they move instead to an issue where 50% of the population thinks they're wrong. Okay, there's a Quinnipiac poll that came out yesterday. It showed 50% of Americans don't want to get rid of these Confederate memorials or don't care about it, and 39% say they want to get rid of them. So what do the media choose to do? What does the left choose to do? Let's talk about Confederate memorials. Do you understand how dumb this is? Just how cataclysmically stupid this is? Okay, it's incredible, and it's exactly what the alt-right wanted. Why do you think the alt-right rallied around a Robert E. Lee statue? You think they did it because they really care that deeply about a Robert E. Lee statue? The reason the alt-right and white supremacists rallied around the Robert E. Lee statue is because they were attempting to demonstrate to the public that there was a broad swath of people who agree with them. There aren't a broad swath of people who agree with them, but there are a lot of people who agree with them on the Confederate statue issue for different reasons. Not because they think that slavery was great, like some of the members of the white supremacist groups believe, but because they believe that this is part of American history. You don't wipe away American history just because it's uncomfortable. So what do the Democrats do? What does the left do? They decide that it is imperative that we have this out right now. They did the same thing after Dylan Storm Roof. Right? Dylan Storm Roof goes and he shoots up a black church and he kills, 19 people, something like that? I can't remember the exact number. He kills, I think it was 19 or 20 people. He kills an enormous number of people, murders them in cold blood. He's a white supremacist piece of human feces. So what do? Do we talk about why white supremacism is bad? No, we have a nationwide conversation about the Confederate flag, which literally millions of people do not hold in contempt and do not think connect with white supremacism. Because the left constantly is trying to broaden out their agenda. They can't just target the people we all agree suck. They have to instead try to lump in all of the people they don't like with all of the people that we all agree suck. Right? They have to make that into one giant group. So the first step in the Democratic failure is they pick unpopular issues. So here are two issues that are unpopular that they've picked. They've picked the Confederate flag issue, the Confederate statue issue. Even Chris Matthews, all right, I'm going to say, Chris Matthews, you comes to the show, right? Even he recognizes that all of this stuff about the Confederate statues has no limiting principle, meaning that the same people who want to rip down the Confederate statues want to get rid of the Washington statues, as Trump said, and the Jefferson statues, and now they want to get rid of the Columbus statue in Columbus Circle in New York. The reason there's a statue to Christopher Columbus is because it was a great thing for the world that Western civilization discovered the Americas. It was. Okay, it wasn't a great thing for a lot of the people who were living there, but it was a great thing for world history that Western civilization ended up discovering the Americas, which were a primitive place filled with peoples who had no concept of modern civilization. It doesn't mean Christopher Columbus is a wonderful guy. Doesn't mean he didn't commit any sins. Doesn't mean he didn't enslave the natives. Okay, he did all of these terrible things, but that's not what we're celebrating when we celebrate Columbus Day. We're celebrating the fact that Western civilization is good, even though there are evil things that Western civilization has done. Okay, but the entire movement to rip down these statues, it's all about attempting to wipe away any history that people find gross because they can't just acknowledge Western. Here's the thing. Here's the big disagreement. There are a lot of people like me who say Western civilization is the greatest civilization in the history of the planet, bar none, by far, not close. And there are grains of evil embedded in it. And we have spent most of our history trying to wipe those away gradually. And then there are people on the other side who say Western civilization is bad, and racism and bigotry and slavery, these are inherent parts of the foundations of Western civilization, and that's why Western civilization is bad. So for people like me, I look at the Columbus statue or a Washington statue or a Jefferson statue or even a Lee statue, and I say, this was all part of our history, and it's important that we respect the history enough to discuss it, because this is all part of building a civilization. Even the nasty parts are part of building a civilization. This is what I think Katrina Pearson was trying to say, although she said it badly the other night. And the left says, all of these things are bad. Washington is bad because Western civilization is bad. It's racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. Right? Columbus is bad. But even Chris Matthews recognizes that this is a stupid move by Democrats, but they're engaging in it anyway. Here's Chris Matthews over there. I say, explaining why you shouldn't talk Confederate stat. What's going on? You know, Kathleen, explain. Go.
Nobody's going after Teddy Roosevelt. And the idea of going after slave owners, you'd have to basically take away our history, because the first 6 presidents or so had slaves. You'd have to go after people like Washington and, of course, all the Southern guys, all the ones who followed him, Madison and, of course, Monroe and the rest, and of course, old Hickory because of his Indian fighting and killing. Where do we stop? Where do we stop at saying we're going to recognize it for what it was? and move on? And when are we going to say, no, some of it has to be decelebrated, taken away from our site?
Okay, one of the things that's fascinating here is there's a great divide between Chris Matthews Democrats and Al Sharpton Democrats. And it seems as though the Democratic Party is moving in the direction of Al Sharpton Democrats, not Chris Matthews Democrats. Matthews is much more like Joe Biden. He's a crazy old kook who talks about coming out of the show, but he actually has a concept of what people in middle America are thinking. People like Al Sharpton don't. And so they are ensconced in this. I had a discussion with Don Lemon last night on CNN, and I explained to him that, you know, just because the media, people like Don Lemon, see the Confederate statue issue as black and white, no racial connotations, just a black and white issue, evil versus non-evil, that doesn't mean that's how Americans see it. And moving in that direction is actually a large mistake. So that's one issue. Step one, again, for the Democrats is pick unpopular issues instead of popular ones. Here's another unpopular issue they've chosen to pick. There are hundreds of people, assuming these are all members of the left, not a lot of members of the right who would do this, who are rallying outside NFL headquarters because of Colin Kaepernick, who is a garbage quarterback, okay? He had the worst quarterback rating of any quarterback in the league 2 years ago. He played like 5 games last year before he was benched in favor of basically some sort of poodle. I mean, he was such a bad quarterback that they basically took an inanimate object and stuck it behind center for the 49ers until he lost his job. So there's been this big rallying effect around Kaepernick, and Democrats are pushing this. I'll explain that issue in 1 second. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsors over at Wink. So, does everything that you are seeing right now make you want to get drunk? Does it? Well, I have the proper solution for you. Over at Wink.com, what they can do is they can actually personalize the best wine to your palate. So this is actually better for dinner parties. This is great if you don't know anything about wine. If you think that Manischewitz is good wine, then you actually need to go over to Wink.com and get some really good wine, because the way that it works is you go over there, you take a brief palate quiz, and they tell you which wine best matches your palate and what best matches the meal that you are about to go to. So if you're going to go to a friend's house, you don't want to look like an ignoramus because you picked up some Schlitz. Instead, you should probably go over to Wink.com and you should pick up some wine from Wink.com. Every bottle is like $9.99. It's trywink.com, TRYWINC.com. Take that palate profile quiz, and they will recommend distinct and interesting wines tailored to you. Again, it's trywink.com/Ben. If you go to /Ben, you get $20 off your first order plus free shipping. It's trywink.com/Ben, trywink.com/Ben, TRYWINC.com/Ben to get $20 off your first order right now. People around the office, we did a wine tasting for everybody around the office. They've been drunk ever since, which explains the quality of the show lately. Trywink.com/Ben, $20 off your first order right now. And the wine, I have been told, is glorious. I've been told that by my sloshed employees. Okay, so the other issue that the Democrats have chosen to focus on in the last 2 weeks, instead of discussing why neo-Nazism is bad, God, you people are morons, is they've decided to talk about Colin Kaepernick, a guy who kneels for the national anthem, which is the only reason anyone thinks he's important. You know how many second-string quarterbacks in America lose their job every year? A lot of NFL quarterbacks lose their job every year because they suck. It happens a lot. Okay, Tim Tebow lost his job even though he took his team to the playoffs after winning a series of games. He couldn't throw a forward pass, and so people said, okay, we're not going to give him a job anymore, and now he's playing baseball for the Class A New York Mets, essentially. The left, though, has decided that Colin Kaepernick, despite being world's crappiest quarterback, must have a job. You wonder why people like me stopped watching ESPN? Maybe it's because I got sick of ESPN devoting its entire channel to explaining why a guy who was barely drafted in the 7th round, Michael Sam, had to be employed in the NFL, and now they're devoting all of their time to why a guy who can't throw a pass in the NFL, I mean, threw some of the worst passes of the year last year, must have a job because he kneeled for the national anthem. So Tariq Nasheed, who has the IQ of a kumquat, he tweeted out yesterday, I'm with Cap because white supremacy is not patriotism. And he wrote those all with capital letters and on different lines. I don't know if that's supposed to be some sort of acronym, but I'm not sure what WSINP or whatever that was stands for. Eugene Gu, MD, no idea who this guy is, says, blacklisting Kaepernick is completely un-American and proves why his protest is necessary. Hashtag I'm with Cap. Maybe he's not being blacklisted. Maybe he stinks. Maybe he stinks. It's funny. All the same people who are complaining that Kaepernick is being blacklisted laughed when people said that Tebow was being blacklisted. Susan Sarandon, Bernie Sanders devotee, she says, rally in support of Colin Kaepernick in front of NFL. Together we win. I stand with Colin. Okay, well, if you stand with Colin, you're worth a fair bit of money. Why don't you pay him? Why don't you give him a job, Susan? I mean, you still have a lot of Atlantic City money left over. You can sell some of those oranges, I'm sure, on eBay. Trayvon Free, he posted a picture that says NFL, and it says Negro fall in line. Not even a good acronym because it's really NFIL. which doesn't make any sense. It says, loving the signs today, hashtag I'm with Cap. Okay, these are all just protest signs in favor of Colin Kaepernick. Again, Charles Clymer says, white people do not own patriotism, hashtag I'm with Cap. Well, I mean, I have a feeling that it's not a black or white issue, but if you kneel for the national anthem, I'm going to say that you probably don't get to claim patriotism. I mean, like, again, there are certain unifying symbols. The national anthem is one of them. You either see America as a good development that is moving in a direction toward perfecting its ills, or you see America as inherently bad. Anil Dash, again, somebody I don't know, says, but so what, right? It says, that's a millionaire NFL player using his celebrity to take a stand. Regular folks can't do that, can we? But take a look at some of the young women who are out there today saying, hashtag I'm with Cap. They're from Girls Club NY, and it's a bunch of young girls. They look like, everybody in the picture looks like they're black. It says, hashtag I'm with Cap. We know our rights. Thanks, Colin. Thanks for what? Thanks for what? Did he give you any money or something? Like, did he fund your club? Like, I assume Girls Club is actually like a 501c3. I like this one. It says, he took a knee for me. I'll take a stand for him. Hashtag Kaepernick. Did he really take a knee for you? Like, what did he do for you? What was accomplished for you, random dude, wearing a shirt that was apparently a muumuu from Drew Carey's mom on the show? Like, what exactly is this? He took a knee for me. I'll take a stand for it. Like, what knee did he take for you? What change has Colin Kaepernick effectuated? Any? Have things gotten better for black people because of Colin Kaepernick? I missed it. And Francis Maxwell finally says, if people rallying to support a man who protested injustice upsets you, but the injustice doesn't, you are part of the problem. Again, name the injustice, and I am happy to protest it with you. But don't tell me that it's an injustice because a second-string quarterback who can't throw a forward pass can't get a job because he also alienates fans, because he sits for the national anthem. Okay, so again, that's step number one in the Democrats' plan to alienate all America, is to pick issues like Colin Kaepernick and Confederate statues. Okay, step two is to continue to pick the worst candidates you can possibly find. So, in step two meant last year picking Hillary Clinton, and they're still trotting out Hillary Clinton as though she's a thing. So Hillary Clinton, the audio from her new book, What Happened, which I really think it should be called What the Hell Happened, but it's called What Happened, and here is audio of Hillary Clinton reading from What Happened by Hillary Rodham Clinton, the only book that she's ever going to sell, by the way, because like all her other books are garbage. But I love this. She says maybe her big problem is that she didn't call Trump a creep. Yes, your big problem, Hillary, is that you didn't play the woman card enough. I'm sure that was it. I'm sure that if you'd only done this, that would have changed everything.
It was incredibly uncomfortable. He was literally breathing down my neck. My skin crawled. It was one of those moments where you wish you could hit pause and ask everyone watching, well, what would you do? Do you stay calm, keep smiling, and carry on as if he weren't repeatedly invading your space? Or do you turn, look him in the eye, and say loudly and clearly, back up, you creep. Get away from me. I know you love to intimidate women, but you can't intimidate me, so back up.
Okay, so what I love about that is that that's such a jerk store response, right? It's like a year after this happened, and now she finally came up with the response she should have said. Because if she had said that, by the way, it would have gone over like gangbusters. It really would have. I mean, she would have done a lot better to strike back at Trump by using sort of Trumpian language, but she didn't. Also, I have a hard time believing that Hillary Clinton has a problem hanging around creepy men. Her husband is an alleged rapist, gang. Okay, if you're talking about people who have literally breathed down her neck, last time Bill Clinton tried to breathe down her neck, she tossed a lamp at him. So this routine where she was really victimized by Donald Trump because he was within 4 feet of her is really amazing. And this was the lady they thought was going to win. They thought she definitely had to win. I can't imagine why she lost. And then there's a Hillary Clinton aide who was out there yesterday saying that Hillary would have won if not for Russia. Yeah, keep banging this drum, you idiots.
Do you think she could have won if Russia didn't hack the election?
Yes.
You think she would have?
I think there are a number of factors, including Jim Comey, Putin not minding his business, third, the historical curse of third term. I think any of those things, if you could change them, she lost by 70,000 votes in 3 states.
Okay, so again, they're just going to keep complaining about this, which means they're going to keep picking bad candidates because the closer they think this election was, the more they think that they don't have to change anything. And that's what they're doing now. So who are the bad candidates they're going to pick? Well, they're talking about Kamala Harris. Seriously. Like the senator from here, from my great, stupid state of California. Kamala Harris. They're going to pick that trash heap. Okay, this lady who legitimately can't string together 3 tweets without making a big boo-boo. Right? Kamala Harris was a garbage attorney general, and now she's made her entire name on being a black woman in the United States Senate, saying things that are saying things that are outrageous, and the entire Democratic Party cheers for her because intersectionality, woo, she's black, she's a woman, woo. Okay, here is what the polls say about Trump versus Kamala Harris. Right now, if Bernie Sanders were to run against Trump, this is the last poll I saw, Bernie Sanders would win 53 to 39. 53 to 39. If Joe Biden were to run against Donald Trump, he would win 51 to 38. And if Kamala Harris were to run against Trump, she would be dead even with him at 41 to 40. So which one of those three candidates are the Democrats looking most seriously at? Yep, they're looking at Kamala Harris. They're looking at Cory Booker. They're looking at all the people who fulfill the minority checklist. This is what they're interested in because they're dumb. So that's step two. Pick bad issues. Pick bad issues was step one. Pick bad candidates is step two. Okay, step three, I will get to in just a moment. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsors over at Upside. So as I have been telling you for a while, the best way to save money when you travel is going to Upside.com. You can buy flights individually or hotels individually from Upside, but you can also bundle them, and that's really what saves you the serious cash. It's great for business travel, particularly last-minute business travel, and the more you bundle, the more you save, and you also get a gift card from places like Amazon.com. So the way this works is you use your company credit card in order to book the airline, and then you have an account on the Upside.com website, and boom, an Amazon gift card just pops right up in your account. And you are free to use that, not your company. You are personally free to use that. They have expert navigators who are there to help you book the right flight and the right hotel 24/7. They give you all the options. If you fly into a different airport, if you stay at a different hotel, if you choose a different time or a different day. They have people who are available by phone, by chat, by social, and email to help you all the way through. It's basically a concierge service. It's fantastic. Right now, give them a try. When you use promo code Ben at Upside.com, you are guaranteed to get at least a $100 Amazon.com gift card on your package purchase. That is code Ben to get a $100 gift card for free. So make sure that you use the promo code at checkout at Upside.com, and you get that $100 Amazon.com gift card for free on your package purchase. Minimum purchase is required. You can see the site for complete details. You save on your flight, you save on your hotel, and you get the gift card kicked back to you personally, which is pretty awesome. Upside.com. Use that promo code Ben. Okay, so step three. Step one, again, to recap. Step one was pick unpopular issues. Step two, pick unpopular candidates. Step three, be a dumbass fascist. Okay, so this is the new thing that the left has decided they're going to do. Over the last few years, they're going to shut down people like me when I go to speak at UC Berkeley, or they're going to protest outside, but not protest, get violent. They're going to try to use the mechanisms of law in order to shut down people from speaking. It's really insane. Most Americans are not interested in shutting down free speech. What's funny is that overall, most Americans are not interested in shutting down free speech, but they're all in favor of shutting down speech from the other side. So this is why we have checks and balances in this country. It's why we have a Bill of Rights in the first place. If it were up to people on the right, there was a poll that said that I think it was a plurality of right-wingers would be in favor of shutting down CNN. A poll on the left, I'm sure, would be a plurality would be in favor of shutting down Fox News. We're all in favor of shutting each other up. Everyone's a little fascist, except that when it comes to the broad principle, we're not. If you ask them, are you in favor of shutting down free speech, they'll say no. And that is the protection for free speech. We can't rely on each other's goodwill and good nature to protect each other. We have to rely on the fact that we know that if we attempt to encroach on somebody else's free speech, they will encroach on ours. Well, the left has decided this is now going completely out the window. There was an op-ed in the Washington Post, I think yesterday, talking about how free speech should go by the wayside for certain college speakers. Right, that the free speech doesn't apply to people who are speaking hate speech. This is a new talking point. So here, for example, is a columnist from Law News, which is supposed to be a legal outlet. Her name is Laura Naños, and she was on with Tucker on Fox News last night. And here she is basically saying that free speech should not be defended if it's speech that she doesn't like.
In many of these cases with these white supremacist groups, if you look at their mission statements, you will see that their underlying mission basically is genocide. So if that's what they're trying to do, it has to be taken in that context.
Their underlying mission is gross does not mean that they're actually violating free speech protections. It doesn't. I mean, lots of people say gross things all the time that I hate and despise, including white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Okay, they say this stuff all the time, but that has no impact on whether that is protected speech or not. What the left is trying to do is declare that Donald Trump is the real threat to free speech so they can shut down Trump. They're trying to declare that the right is the real threat to free speech so they can shut down the right. So here is a perfect example of this. On ABC, there is this commentator whose name is, she's the senior White House correspondent actually, named Cecilia Vega, and she was on Good Morning America, and she suggested that Trump's speech in which he ripped on the media should actually be illegal. It's basically incitement.
Well, George, this was incitement, plain and simple. I turned my cell phone camera on the crowd just so you could see the reaction there as we were on the stage. That's what it looks like when the president turns the crowd on you. The president said that journalists hate this country. That's what he told this crowd. This was an assault that went on and on and on. And George, I've got to tell you, this one felt different. It really feels like a matter of time, frankly, before someone gets hurt.
Okay, so I love that the left is willing to say this. It was only a matter of time until some Bernie Sanders supporter snapped and tried to shoot a bunch of Republican congresspeople, but you didn't hear any of this talk from the left. Or it's only with regard to the right. And this is the new talking point, is that it's not free speech for you, because everything you say is incitement. Everything I say is true and wonderful and glorious, but everything you say is incitement. Democratic Representative John Garamendi from California, he says the same thing. He actually said that Trump's attacks on the media, it was just like Hitler. It was exactly like Hitler. Let me explain.
A man that is totally out of control and engaged in rhetoric that slams the press, which, by the way, happens to be the very first thing that a dictator will do to secure his position, is to delegitimize the press. And Trump has been at that for his entire campaign, in fact, his entire presidency.
Don't you understand? He must be shut up because he's trying to delegitimize us. Okay, this nonsense where the left suggests that everything the right says is incitement. Listen, I don't like a lot of what Trump said at that rally. I talked about it on the show, but it was not incitement. You know, later in the show, I'm going to do the big ideas. What we do on Thursdays here, I'm going to explain to you what the legal standard for incitement is so that you know, so that you don't fall prey to the stupidity of people who say things like fire in a crowded theater and have no idea what the hell they're talking about. I'm going to give you the full background on what the law says about all of this. But suffice it to say, what Trump did the other night was not actual incitement. It was not incitement under the law. Okay, so those are the three things, first three steps, and we'll get to the fourth in a second. So first three steps were pick unpopular issues, pick horrifying candidates, and then be a fascist. Okay, step 4 is, I think, the most telling one of all. But for that, you're going to have to go and subscribe. So $9.99 a month gets you a subscription to Daily Wire. You get the rest of this show live on video. Later when we post it, you get it free of the ads that I talk about on the show. You also get Andrew Klavan's show live. That's happening in about an hour here. You get Michael Knowles' show live, God help us, at 12:30 today. Cassie Dillon is sitting in here, and I think she's on Michael Knowles' show later. So that's a double recommendation for not watching. But if you do want to watch, then you can subscribe for $9.99 a month and check that out. Also, for the annual subscription, you get all those things, plus the website for free, all of these wonderful things, and you get this tumbler. Did you see it magically appear? This tumbler is so incredible that it doesn't even have to be present, and it's still there. It's there in heart and mind. No one brought this here and just put it on the desk in the middle of the show because we had forgotten it or anything, okay? It wasn't there, and then it was there. That's how great this tumbler is. It's where you need it to be at all times. For $99 annually, you get this, the magical Leftist Tears hot or cold tumbler. It will make your life better. You'll never have to look for it because it just appears wherever you're looking. It's actually slightly creepy. You open up a closet, boom, there it is. You get up in the morning, you go in the bathroom, boom, it's on top of the toilet. You just never know. But it's great. You're going to love it. $99 a year gets you the subscription plus this, the greatest of all tumblers ever created by God or man. So you'll get all of those things. Or if you just want to listen later on iTunes or SoundCloud, go over there, subscribe, leave us a review. We always do appreciate it. It helps us with the rankings, so thank you for that. And we are the largest and fastest growing conservative talk show, podcast on the interwebs, in America, in the world, in the universe, anywhere.